Uh, there is no, I could tell you, for example, take Richard Sutton, Andrew Bartow's book. You all know it probably. If you don't, just Google reinforcement learning textbook. It's also on the syllabus. It's called Introduction, Reinforcement Learning Introduction, something like that. So, it is considered by some as a canonical textbook in reinforcement learning. But it's still, it's a construction site. The authors, they are renowned experts in that. They are rather, like older folks who, have been in that field for decades already. And in that book, for example, the very foundational things, they are laid out nicely. It is true. But you won't find there, for example, proximal policy optimization, or you won't find there soft-active reading. The subject is so actively developing. It's like, for example, at one point, not so long ago, people might have said something like, okay, we got this cutting-edge trust region policy optimization, for example, and then there came proximal policy optimization. And so approaches are popping up like almost on a daily basis, and there's paradigm shifts and all that. It's so dynamically changing. It's next to impossible at this day and age to just lay down some rigid core structure that, unlike in calculus, for example, you have to learn, derivative, integral, some foundational theorems of calculus, Boltzmann, Weierstrass, whatever. So all of this is more or less like standardized. Or in physics, for example, you learn Hamilton formalism, Lagrange formalism, right? So Hamilton formalism is there forever. It don't matter at what point in time you learn physics, you will have to go through that. It's not like, for example, tomorrow everything just flips over completely beyond recognition, and we say, okay, now in physics we don't need that, we just throw it away and we solely concentrate on X, Y. No. Unlike in reinforcement learning, again, it's just way too dynamic. So the material that we develop throughout the years is mostly our own material. We do base to some extent on Sutton and Barton, but again, you won't find PPO there, but we do talk about PPO. So I do hope that we will get to PPO. And I do want to explain to you how the theory behind trust region policy optimization, proximal policy optimization, how they work. And sometimes it's not that just like you want to understand like why even this algorithms, what is the rationale behind it. Sometimes even just looking at the sheer algorithm, you might say, okay, I don't care about the math, just hand me the algorithm. And then you go, you check on canonical Schumann's papers, for example, then you go to blogs, and you get confused, and you don't understand why do these guys write down the laws of the objective this way, and these guys just completely differently, and you don't understand, and you go to these crappy blogs that just like throw some stuff at you, some formulas, not explain, sometimes put there as screenshots. So it's a mess, it's a garbage, and there is, to my reckoning, there's not enough people with good, not even like math culture, but just software engineering culture type of things. Like just to put the code cleanly, and sometimes you might, for example, look at the code and come across some comments like even something like, although this baseline in policy gradient is not legit in terms of the formulas, it did work well in our example, so like we leave it in, and that's a mess. Okay, but I could talk about that for ages, and maybe I'll recap from time to time. So all in all, we decided, and especially in the light of the second thing that I wanted to highlight, is chatbots. So you must be just living under the rock to say, although probably I suspect there might be colleagues who just like old school, old fashioned, whatever, who could be saying something like, oh, okay, you cannot completely rely on it, or you have to learn like classical way. I personally, I'm not like that, so I try to be as much as I can to be like open-minded, and I always try to like put myself in your perspective, and try to like visualize what could you take away from this. Okay, you just like, okay, you get a classical homework assignment and you throw it at 01 and it will just solve it, right? And so like what gives? So what do you gain in the end? I'm mostly very like democratic when it comes to grades. Like I don't care. I don't have no intention like to exaggerate and like try to put you down and give you a lower grade than you deserve. Okay, so I have no interest in that. I rather have interest in you actually gaining some tangible real life experience that would push you forward. Whenever you go there, you apply for a PhD abroad or a software engineer job, or here at Sver, Yandex, whatever. So that you wouldn't be just like a prompt monkey, okay, ChatGPT just do me this stuff, cool, and but rather that you get knowledgeable and critically thinking, and maybe some of you, get to us and join us in whatever form, as for master projects or PhDs, whatever. So, with that being said, we decided to shift to what's called mini projects. Now, in one of the rounds of this course, I actually tested that, and it worked extremely well. It was perceived well, and it was absolutely pleasant for me to consult students on mini projects, to track progress, and then listen to reports. And I do hope that it will work out well in our learning group also. So, here's how it goes. So you divide into teams. And let's say team XY, so like right now, nominally, that could be, I would say, okay, 10 teams, you divide each team like five people, but that being said, you have to be aware that some people will simply drop. It's a normal process, right? People drop all the time. So maybe like in your team, you started out with 5 and you ended up with 2 or 3. I presume that it's still doable, to do the mini project. So I want to start with the simplest incarnations of reinforcement learning. It's just tabular. That should give you a kind of, first of all, kind of sense and taste of what that subject is about. And on the other hand, yeah, it will also, that mini project should be like almost straightforward, and it will encourage you, maybe it will get you feel comfortable and all that. And I will start talking about, or at least I plan to start on tabular today, as soon as we introduce the basic concepts. Maybe if we don't manage it, we get to that tomorrow. So, now, of course, use ChatGPT, use chatbots. It's no problem. I can even like give you some advice. If you are using 4.0, so 4.0 is like a dumb workhorse. It will do mistakes all along, but if you repeat the prompts, you have to be extremely precise. 4.0 always tends to persuade you, okay? Maybe if you yourself, you're formulating request wrongfully, you're doing a mistake, it would try to kind of catch up and, you know, like, yeah, you're making a good point and all that, and then and you might just end up in a maze of confusion, where you confused yourself, and 4.0 got confused, and then you go just down the drain. 0.1 is like so 0.1 is not a miracle, but 4.0 compared to 0.1 is like, I don't know, some Neanderthal monkey compared to Homo sapiens, something like that. 0.1 likes structured requests, like tech requirements. Tech requirements in Russian, it's called техническое задание. So that is, it likes precise context. Okay, it likes clearly stated conditions of your request. So, for example, you might give it a prompt like, so let's say I want to code. So I'm doing a project on reinforcement learning, and I want to code environment, which is, for example, a bipedal robot. I want to organize the classes in the following way. For example, I want some abstract class that represents the environment with the following methods. For example, there is a step, and then there's a property, it's called system parameters, whatever. Please, or try to find parameters, could be some moment of inertia or mass, whatever, or geometrical parameters on the internet, if possible, and realize the two following classes, for example, something like that. I'm describing this roughly. Now, I'm saying this as someone who has been using chatbots like on a daily basis for almost a year, and I totally appreciate it. This is the future, but I have to make the following remark. If you are someone who did program manually, okay, sufficiently, and you know how to do it. The best way is when you know exactly how to do so or so task, but you understand that this is just manual labor. For example, you know how to dig a hole, or you know how to lay a pipe, maybe, but you hire someone to do that stuff for you. O1 is that guy whom you hire. It's always there at your disposal, okay, and it basically processes your request like instantly. So that's how you should perceive it. It's not you like, oh, do me some cool stuff. Such prompts, they are not helpful. They do not move you towards the goal, and you learn nothing from it. Okay, like for example, like come up with something. Okay, here you go. Here's some example. It's totally made up, and then you do a copy paste. And you know, in the end, we try to control that side of things precisely through the sessions, through the slots, okay, this Mondays and Tuesdays, dedicated to your reports or defenses of mini projects. There will be dialogue, you know, unlike we just, okay, you do a homework assignment on Cola, and you got an auto grader. It brings nothing to the table. Okay, it's just it's useless. It's better that you come here, for example, you share screen, you show. Okay, here's my mini project. Here's the problem that we addressed. Here's how we solved it. Here's the challenges that we faced, and then we will be discussing. Like for example, oh, over here, you happen not to satisfy Markov property, for example. Okay, maybe I'm gonna reformulate the state format or whatever. So yeah, so here is how it goes. Mini projects. We start with tabular. Now, realistically speaking, that tabular, you should be reporting on that nominally after, let's say, after the next week. So that would be like tomorrow we give it the coverage required. Then we proceed, like next week, Monday, Tuesday. Then after that week, Monday, Tuesday, you should be reporting already on your tabular projects. So the format of this mini project is basically you pick a subject. You can always ask us for subjects, okay, for topics. Just to name a few, for example, let's say game. A taxi driver, route optimization, of course path planning for robots, mobile robots, then for example blackjack, card games. I witnessed some projects dedicated to poker, but they were not successful. Maybe you would perform better. I don't know. But there's just basically there's plenty of those. And if you struggle to come up with, you can always just ask me. You can ask Grigory. You can ask Anton. We'll suggest you talk. Now, how you report? We do not need separate written reports on mini projects. All you gotta do, that should resemble your future careers. The best way is you put your code on the GitHub repository of your team, write a README, make it to a product, a mini product. That's exactly what you would do in your real jobs in the end. Although I have to say that even that is a little bit of a luxury. Probably in your real jobs you would just jump from task to task almost randomly, driven by your manager. But it's a side story. The good thing is that you can put these projects onto your profiles, right? So, like, it's not here. We're not saying that it's a custody of Skoltech or something. And by the way, do not ever mention Skoltech on your GitHubs. That's dangerous. So, put that. Do not write, a mini project in course, blah, blah, blah. No. We don't need it, and you will harm yourself. You will put yourself under risk. Right? For example, playing blackjack by tabular RL or something. And then there's got to be a README, how to install stuff, maybe you need a virtual environment, whatnot, and how to reproduce. Put some plots there. If you don't know Markdown for some reason that well, then you can exercise with Markdown. So just try to put this up as a nice little product, okay? Product. Whatever you do in future. So, for example, you stay in research. That's exactly what you would need to accompany your papers. That's the standard. Repository, README, reproducibility instructions, all that. You go to industry, well, that's for sure a valuable experience. So, we will also allow collabs. So collab is also fine, although I would say maybe somewhat subjectively that GitHub is a little bit more professional, okay? Or you can combine both. So for example, maybe you have some, maybe you even created something, maybe you created a package and you put it on PyPy and then you collab, you have this exclamation sign, pip install, whatnot. There's a demonstration on collab. That's a top notch. So if you do collab, of course, presentation, right? So some introductory words here. For example, here we import packages. Here's the class for environment. Here's the class for agent, and so on and so forth. So GitHub or collabs. You defend 10 minutes. So technically, either you just share your screen because so right now, for example, I started a stream on Yandex Telemost basically to share my tablet. I don't think I need to even distribute that link. You don't need it. Or maybe you do. I can hand it to you and then you can look at what I'm writing with just your devices. But what I was saying is that you could be just sharing from your device, share your screen, and then you go through your GitHub, you go through your collab, you explain, you present, and there's just a couple of minutes to discuss. Anyone can ask you questions. I'll ask you questions, TAs, so on and so forth. Alternatively, another form is a video report. You can upload to Telegram a video report of your basically a video presentation of your mini project. And we'll discuss it. And discuss it in the chat. So in the end, you are assessed essentially by two things. One is the larger chunk of that grade is your collab or your repository. Okay? If it's garbage, if we can't even like install, can't reproduce, nothing is clear, then of course it's not good. Okay? If it's transparent, if it's understandable, and there's plenty of examples, you know how to put up post very nicely. We will be talking about that. We'll be reiterating on that many times. Yeah. So what else? When it comes to organization. Yeah, so there is no designated final project, okay? It's just only these mini projects. Then we accumulate them plus the attendance, that gives the final. So mini projects nominally, there should be like 4, if I recall correctly. There will be, we have to manage at least 2, maybe 3. So one is tabular, policy gradient, maybe get to online activity or something. Or also advanced policy gradient. So you may also, as a part of your presentation, you may show your prompts to ChatGPT or whatever the chat. That would also be interesting. And then you can also talk about the difficulties that you faced. So for example, I requested this from the chatbot, and that's the answer it provided me, and I don't fully understand, and whatnot. Yeah, so if I recall anything else that's worth attention regarding administrative things, we'll bring it up. Or otherwise, do you have any inquiries to the organization part? So now let me ask you, who of you are from the data science program? Okay, engineering systems. Majority. Who have already used O1? Okay, quite a few. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, well, it costs money. Just a fact. We know it's bad here. We don't know what to do about this. And those who haven't used yet, the reality is, if I had been a student at this point, I would have probably done everything, got the bank card or whatever to lay my hands on what. So you have other models. I'm just stating sheer facts. It's not my personal assessment. And but even with limited access product counter, whatever. Even that, like I did not so long time ago, I did, for example, also a mini project on Unreal. Like I just myself, just for fun, proximal policy optimization for visual control of a pendulum. The agent just perceived the image, low resolution image of the pendulum, and then designed the PPO for that. Ended up working nicely. It took me some 1 week, and I used 4.0, and it was pretty dumb on some occasions. But again, when you like explain it crystal clear, like you just tell it what to do. It's like to, let's say, to 4.0, you gotta be, like what is in Russian is called like a prorab, That's to 4.0. To 0.1, you could be just like a customer, and 0.1 could be like a construction company. You could tell it, okay, I want like in my house, in my flat, I want something like a Scandinavian style, and it will do. 4.0, you still have to control, like, no, lay that pipe right there. Don't confuse the corner or something. But it comes at the cost. 0.1, unfortunately, sometimes it can do very subtle mistakes that in 4.0, it's like when it does, and if you have at least some mentality and some experience, you can spot it. And you can tell it, here you did a mistake, please correct yourself. So or so way. With 0.1, might do a subtle mistake that you wouldn't even spot. I'll give you a little example. So it was just a side note. I was asking 0.1 some queries about history of my region, this and that, and it gave me quite an elaborate response, with bullet points, and I really liked that, very structured. And then at some point it mentioned there was a guy, a historian local historian of the region, my region where I come from. He is from end of the late 19th century, and was some interesting things and I showed it to a friend of mine who is also from that region, and he said oh, that sounds interesting, but who is that guy? Can we find his works in the library or something like that? And I asked him, could you tell me about this guy somewhat more? And it's although it's hard to find, specifically materials about this Sergei Ivanov, whatever, although he happens to be a notable figure, maybe you should inquire archives, local archives and library. And I was like, just asking back and forth, and then I asked why did you write in your response about Sergei Ivanov? I'm just making up. Why did you write this? If what did you base your response on? If nothing on the internet is fine. And it said, honestly, I'm just a language processor, and glitches, hallucinations might happen, and yeah, I made up that guy. See, you know what I mean? And that might be subtle in the code, because you might get large chunks of the code, and there's something extremely strange and peculiar going on. You can't really explain, and it might cost you a lot of time and effort to actually get deep into that and spot where actually the problem was. So yeah, that's the price. That's the price you pay. So now, one last before we go into 15-minute break. Any questions on the organizational part? Is this all clear? This is anything that
So we will